start this thing.
I just want to start by introducing myself. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm running for Hennepin County Commissioner in District 4.
And I'm Peter McLaughlin. I'm running for re-election as Hennepin County Commissioner in District 4.
We've agreed to have just a little bit of a discussion here for about 15 minutes to talk about Hennepin County and why each of us think we might be better suited to help govern the county. And I want to start. We've got my campaign has had some criticisms of how Brian Shackleton got on the MCWD board. That's the Minnesota Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board. I'd like to ask Peter just give us some insight into how Mr. Shackleton got on that board.
Okay, the county board appoints the members of the Minnehaha Creek Watershed Board, and Brian Shackleton was appointed unanimously in 2007 by the county board. He was not working for me at that time. He was reappointed in 2010 unanimously as well, and then he was reappointed again in 2013, and at that point he was working for me. And so he's been unanimously appointed by the county board to serve on the watershed, which is a body that's been created by the legislature to protect the waters of our communities.
Okay. That's one of the concerns that I have. It seems like the board's main priority should be to protect the water, to protect the environment, and yet it seems now it's involved in this real estate speculation deal where they bought this Lake Road property for, I understand it's about 15 acres for about 17 acres for about $15 million. And I wonder if that might put some pressure on your staff person to make decisions on that board. Again, they're supposed to be concerned with the environment, to maybe protect that real estate investment, and therefore maybe give some undue support to the Southwest Light Rail Transit, particularly disregarding the law when it comes to having an environmental impact statement before we go forward with SWLRT.
Okay. So let's talk about first the decision to buy the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District to buy the cold storage site. That decision was made in 2011. It was less than 2 weeks after Mr. Shackleton began working for me. Prior to that, he had not been working for me. Earlier, he worked for me. But so the decision that was made, and all the virtually, I don't know what the nature of the negotiations were, but the deal was already negotiated. And so he did, in fact, vote for the purchase of the cold storage site within like a week or two of his coming back to work for me. Now, my view is this is about water quality, okay? And so my understanding is that the plans of the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District will reduce the pollutant loading of Lake Hiawatha in the 4th District. It'll reduce it by 20%. And I support that because I know that there are kids on my block, my daughter included, who can't go swimming in Lake Hiawatha at the end of August or the middle of August because it gets too loaded up. And so their plan, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District's plan, their full plan would reduce the loading of Lake Hiawatha by 20%, reduce the pollutant. That's a good thing, and I think you ought to be for that. Is this an aggressive plan that they're undertaking by buying the property? Yes. Should we be aggressive in trying to clean up Lake Hiawatha? Yes. And I think we should. Anybody representing the 4th District should be for that. And what happens is what they're doing by buying the site, as I understand it, that they're going to be able to deal with not just the 17 acres of the site itself, which is all that a private owner would have to clean up. Their plan is to actually deal with like 246 acres that are now piped into runoff, that's piped into cold storage, and they're right now just kind of dumps right into the creek. And they'll actually be able to do another 15 acres or so beyond that. So they're going to clean up the runoff on 263 acres by doing this, their plan here. And that's an aggressive plan. I think that's a good thing, actually, to be aggressive about cleaning up the water.
Well, I agree we should be aggressive about cleaning up the water. I wonder, though, if the person that's your staff person, I mean, I agree he wasn't, he says, and you maintain, I agree he was not your staff person when he was hired for this board.
When he was appointed.
When he was appointed. But now he is your staff person. I wonder if we are having necessary independence of that board, if we have county commissioners, staff people on that board. Shouldn't we be giving it some independence so that it can be concerned about its main job, which is environmental quality, which is protecting the environment, rather than possible real estate speculation interests?
Well, you call it real estate speculation. I call it an aggressive but prudent plan to clean up 263 acres of runoff that's harming Lake Hiawatha and the whole chain of lakes. So I think that's a good thing.
Well,
and so I think Minnehaha Creek Watershed District has done a good job. There have been calls for us in recent days to interfere with the work of the Watershed District, to second guess them on their personnel decisions and other procedures. And we have said, and Chair Opat has a letter, Dan Callison, my colleague, has a letter as well, and I agree with him. It's not our business to interfere in the workings of the watershed district. In fact, watershed districts were set up so that they would be independent of local governments that have development interests and other things.
So that's exactly my point. How can a board be independent if it has, as one of its board members, someone that is your staff who's dependent on you for his salary, for his position? So I say that we need to have true independence, which means we have to have people that are not direct employees of county commissioners on that board.
Well, I mean, your argument kind of moves all over the place. You talking about land speculation, and you've admitted that land speculation, the vote on that, you've only been employed by that county, by me, for a few days when that happened. You're all for cleaning up the water, but you don't like this deal. I mean, I think I want a practical plan to clean it up.
Other members of the board have said that they think this plan might be a disaster if Southwest Light Rail doesn't go through. It might be a financial disaster. I mean, this property was bought for in 2007. It was bought for $7 million, but the watershed, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District bought it for $15 million. So I just question the value of the real true value of the property, and I'm not the one. I'm not one that the other members of that board are questioning it.
Okay, but the board makes the decision, and I'm not interested in interfering with that. And the fact that an employee of mine happens to have been appointed to that board that's been doing, I believe, an exemplary job. I don't think that's a problem.
Well, I think it is a problem. I think it's a problem that we can't have true independence from that board if he's a member of that board is one of the county commissioners' employee, regardless of which county commissioner it is.
So do you challenge though when you call it land speculation? How are you going to clean up the 263 acres of runoff?
Well, first of all, I would have people on the board that are independent so they can make decisions based upon the facts, not based upon what a county commissioner might want them to do.
So what do you suggest? You have no evidence of my exerting any undue
Well, yeah,
influence on our
but
plan.
if you're his employee, if he's dependent upon you for his salary, for his position, then he's going to be doing what you want him to do, rather than what might be good. That's why maybe he's not insisting on it, and maybe why you're not
We've had
insisting on
hands-off
environmental
policy.
impact. But why don't we have an environmental impact statement before the Southwest Light Rail goes through?
We are.
That's required by law.
We are.
But we don't have it yet.
Before it goes through.
We've
You
already-
said you wanted an EIS before the Southwest LRT goes through. That's going to
Well,
happen.
we've already been.
We're not going to be able to, you won't be able to turn dirt on Southwest LRT till the EIS is done. I support that. It's a good idea.
Well, we were supposed to have that before we had the agreements by the cities and even by the county for that to make that
That's
decision.
not, no, the process, we've been following the process. If there's a major change in the process, in the project, there'd have to be a supplemental EIS done. But the EIS is still in process.
Well, there's a lawsuit
We're
right
not
now.
gonna go forward.
There's a lawsuit that's right now that's in place that's going to hopefully force that law.
The courts will decide.
Sign on that lawsuit?
The courts will decide
Yeah.
whether that's proper. I think that the environment's been well protected. I think frankly, I actually think the park resource is gonna be better off with the LRT going through. I mean, right now you've got that old bridge there with the creosote soaked, you know, pilings and things and holding it up. I think that getting that replaced, that'd be a good thing. Doing the landscaping instead of having just this sort of grown up, you know, stuff growing up, I think fixing that's a good idea. There are retaining walls along that channel that are falling in right now. And if you build a bridge, you're gonna have to fix those retaining walls that are under there. I think actually the resource is gonna be significantly better with the LRT project rather than worse.
Okay, you know, too much time left. I want to go on to another subject, the issue of poverty. And I know that you've been interested in the issue of poverty yourself for many years. I know you've been on the board with an organization called Up and Out of Poverty, and we met before you. As I recall, you made some fairly good decisions in that area. One of my proposals for eliminating poverty and homelessness in Hanover County is to have cooperative housing and collective businesses for unemployed, underemployed, homeless, and underhoused many Hennepin County residents.
I agree with you on that. In fact, I was the chair of the board of Powderhorn Residence Group, they're now PRG. I was the chair of the board when that nonprofit housing development corporation did its first project in 1978, and it was a co-op, a limited equity co-op in an old school, the Whittier School over here at 26 in Blaisdell.
Yeah.
It's still operating, 45 units of affordable housing, Section 8 affordable housing, mostly with multiple bedrooms, so it's good for families.
Yeah.
So the co-op, I'm a big believer in the co-op
that.
structure, and you know, we've done these land trust arrangements now as well, which is a kind of a way for a nonprofit to own the land, and then the people own the house that's on the land, so that the price of the house can't go up.
Can't be
And so
stifled.
it'll be preserved as affordable housing. I think that's smart, because if we don't provide some controls to keep affordable units that we've invested in, keep them affordable over the long haul, and we're talking, you know, 40, 50 years, that's important to do that.
Yeah,
So that's been my
I
philosophy.
think you've done some good things in that area. I'm aware of your history with some of the co-op things. I wanted to ask you then, I met with the mayor 3 different times now on this proposal. She seems to be interested in working with me on it. She's waiting for the director of the housing program, to get on board. But would you be willing to work with me and the mayor on that?
Send me a proposal, you know, an outline of it.
Yeah, okay, all right, sure.
I'd be happy to take a
Yeah,
look at it.
all right. Well, I have put some of that stuff online on e-democracy, some other my ideas and some criticism of you on e-democracy. I'd like to invite you again to go on e-democracy and respond to some of these things. Wouldn't take much time, just give us your ideas.
We'll see where we go on that.
We appreciate that.
What's going to happen. I'm going to be at the demonstration on Sunday against the nickname of the Washington DC football team. I hope you'll be. I'm sure you'll be there too.
Well, I think I can just change the name of the Vikings, because the Vikings were the first people to exploit the Native Americans in this country. They took slaves from Native Americans as slaves, and so they were the first ones. The Vikings is the name that really should be regarded as exploitative, and that's what even more important than Redskins. As a matter of fact, most Native Americans don't think that the name Redskins is a pejorative term. It's used as a term of honor and respect.
I disagree with you. That's not my understanding, and that's not what you're going to hear Sunday
I know that.
at TCF Field from the American Indian community.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
All right.
All right. Good enough.
Well, thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. I think it's a great step forward. So.
Great, well, thank you.
Yep. Good luck on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep. Take care. Thank you very much.
Can you exchange telephone numbers to communicate on election night?
Sure.